Hello everybody, hope you're having a wonderful day and welcome back to the second episode of Tier Time. And yeah, so in this episode we are going to be ranking all of the main Gen 8 Pokemon, not including the DLCs, and those will be in a separate video because this video is already pretty long enough. Hope you guys are okay with that. And yeah, it was very fun to rank all these Pokemon, and I hope you're excited to see my opinions on them. Feel free to share your opinions in the comment section below. And with that, let's move right into the ranking. Alright, so I guess we're just going to go in order of this, if that's okay with you guys. We're just going to go in order of the tier list right here. And that's starting off with Galarian Meowth. Now, I think the yellow fits it pretty well. It's nothing amazing, but I would be pretty happy if I did get it. We're going to start off by putting it into... It's somewhere in between B and B+. I'm going to put it into B for now, however it could move up to B+ later. Actually, I'm going to put it into B+. I'm going to put it into B+. Because, actually, I said we were going to go in order, but I want to give Berserker a D. No, I want to give Berserker a B. I think it's slightly worse than the Galarian Meowth. That's just my opinion. Next up, we have Galarian Ponyta. Now, I really like the white that it changes from the purple. I think that it is really nice, adds a lot. So we're going to put that into the S tier. However, I'm not a big fan of Galarian Rabidash's design, and I don't think the white complements it very well when compared to the Ponyta, so we're going to put that into the B+ tier with Galarian Meowth. Next up, we actually have Galarian Slowpoke, and I think the yellow is pretty cool, especially with the darkened yellow on its head and back of the tail. I think it works pretty well, so we're going to shove it up into A tier. Nothing like amazing, but I think it works pretty well. Next up, we have Galarian Farfetch'd, which has a golden body instead of a white body, and that's basically it. This is low. Oh wait, no, I mixed up. My bad. These tiers are mixed up. But yeah, these tiers. Why is it's placed so low on the tier list? It's weird. But the golden color is nice, so that saves it. If it was a bad color, then it would be in D tier. Next up, we have Galarian Weezing. I like the brown color. It looks pretty good. I wish more changed about it, however. So we're gonna put it into B tier. Next up, we got Galarian Mr. Mime, and this one's pretty hit or miss for most people. And for me, it actually hits pretty well. I like the old-fashioned vibes, and I actually liked it more back when I first saw it. I think it's still really cool. I know some people don't like it at all. Some people really like it, but it's a cool reference to how it's like an old-fashioned tap dancer, Charlie Chaplin kind of vibes. So I'm going to throw it into A tier along with Galarian Slowpoke. So next up we got Galarian Corsola, and I think this Pokemon is pretty cool, but I think its shiny is a little bit underwhelming. It doesn't change much, besides the fact that it gets a little bit darker and our eyes turn purple. But besides that, nothing else happens very much, so we're going to put it into the C+ tier. Okay, so now we have Galarian Zigzagoon and Galarian Linoone. Now I'm actually going to throw Galarian Zigzagoon up into S tier and Linoone in A tier. Honestly, I think I like Zigzagoon's design more, so that's probably why it's in S tier. Unfortunately, not because of the shiny. I think there's some bias there. But I like the blue tongue that you can it's really, especially because of the Zigzagoon's small body, you can really see it. So I think that's pretty cool. I like the pink / magenta color. It works really well. I think on Linoone it also works really well, but something about it just isn't as appealing as Galarian Zigzagoon for me. Okay, next up we got Galarian Darumaka and Galarian Darmanitan. Now I won't lie, I do really like these shinies, but I won't lie, they're not the craziest thing in the world. Their crystals darken and their blue area in between their eyes turns to a green. And it's actually a pretty nice green, surprisingly, even though normally that wouldn't be a very nice green, but it works pretty well here. So we're going to throw, well, I do like them a lot, so I will have to put them in the A and S tier. However, it's not, like, objectively, they're down here. And another S tier is the Zen Mode Darumaka shiny form. I think it works pretty well. The purple is nice. So I think I'm biased here because I really like the Pokemon in general, but I think their shinies do complement them well. So objectively, they're probably hovering here, but I think that they're more of an S tier and A tier. Next up, we got one of my favorite shinies of all time, Galarian Yamask. I love its shiny so much. It's such a simplistic change, but it works so well. Now its rune is purple, and its eye is now green. I love that change. It is amazing, in my opinion. It just looks so cool. It's a very simple change, but it does a lot for the design. If they could have made the eye the same color, and it would be like B tier or even C+ tier. But just changing that eye really helps, especially because the green and purple complement each other very well. And lastly, for the Galarian forms themselves, we have Galarian Stunfisk. And Galarian Stunfisk, it's pretty cool how it mimics the Cantonian Stunfisk form. I think it's all right. Not the best thing in the world, but we'll throw it into B+ tier. Alright, so now we are on to the official Galar Pokemon, starting off with the starter, Grookey. Now, Grookey was actually the first shiny I think I ever got, not from a max raid battle in Pokemon Sword and Shield. My first Masuda method shiny, followed by Scorbunny, followed by Sobble. And we're gonna throw Grookey into A tier. I think it's pretty cool. Nothing amazing, but the colors that they chose were pretty nice. Now we got Thwackey. I feel like I'm gonna forget the names of some of these Pokemon. It took me like 2 seconds to remember its name. But Thwackey kind of reminds me of like the tropical flavor of like some sort of fruit snack or like drink can or something. It's weird. It's not that bad, but I think it's just okay in my opinion. So we're gonna throw that into the B tier. Now we got Rillaboom, the final stage grass starter, and I'm gonna throw it into B+ tier. I just think that it takes the colors from Grookey and just kind of enlarges it. And I feel like the light green isn't as good when it's just everywhere. Well, it is everywhere on Grookey, but it's just much larger. And I don't think the brown complements it as much. So I just feel like the colors on Grookey just look a little bit better than they do on Rillaboom. Okay, now we are on to the fire type line, and we're starting with Scorbunny, which we're gonna throw into the B+ tier. I think the gold works very well. Unfortunately, the body doesn't change. However, I am kind of scarred from my Scorbunny hunt, which lasted 1,574 eggs. I do not like it. It is like that. I spent like 2 weeks trying to hunt it, even more, many hours. So I probably would be A tier if I didn't spend way too long trying to get it. This Grookey only took 45 eggs for me, and the Sobble took 298, so I'm happy with that. Just the Scorbunny took way too long, but it's still a really good shiny, so we're gonna put it into B+. And its other fire type evolutions will be going into B tier. They're basically the same. The grays are pretty cool. They reference the gray rabbits that you see. I think that works pretty well. The colors do kind of contrast in not the best way, I think, with the rest of the colors that are there, but I think they look pretty good overall. Alright, so now we have the Sobble line. Now, Sobble is going to go into S tier. I think the shiny looks amazing. The blue, we got the darker blue, pink on top, just looks really nice. Now, we also have Drizzile, which will go into the A tier. I think it looks pretty cool too. Honestly, for the same reasons as Sobble. And going one step further below is Inteleon. The only reason I don't like Inteleon as much as the other two are just because of the white. I'm not a big fan of white on shinies, that's just my opinion, and I think here, it's not the greatest thing in the world. However, obviously, I do like I gave Ponyta an S tier, so I do like some white on shinies, but I feel like it just kind of doesn't add anything. It doesn't look great. And now, we have Skwovet. Skwovet is a really nice shiny in my opinion. A tier. I think the pink works really well, references red squirrels. On the other hand, we're going to give Greedent a B+, not as good, mainly because of the other color that's not the pink is more prevalent. Now we got Rookie D. Rookie D will go up into the it's somewhere in between here. It's like an A- tier. I'll give it an A tier. It's barely an A tier, but I'll give it an A tier. It looks really nice. Yeah, I mean, it's not too interesting, but the golden that is used is pretty nice. Now we're gonna send Corvisquire into B+, and Corviknight into S. Pushing SS, but just S. Yeah, I think that B+, I guess because Corvisquire isn't a metallic bird, the gray doesn't work as well, so it just kind of feels washed out. I think that it would have been better to have some sort of the gold from Rookie D carry over, but I think it does work really well on Corvin Knight because the steel type, now it's steel, it looks very royal. It has like the black beard, which isn't my favorite part about it. That's probably why it's an S tier. I wish that was also gray or something like that. But it still looks really, really nice. So we're going to throw that into S and Corvisquire into B+. So now we got Blipbug, which will go into C+ tier. It took me way too long to remember the name of it. But yeah, so Blipbug is pretty cool. However, it doesn't change except for the bow tie, which is now blue. However, it is a really nice blue, complements it well. So that's why it's pushing. It's almost in C tier, but I'll put it in C+ tier. It could definitely drop down here in the future. Now we have Dottler, which I'm going to put into A tier. Looks really nice. The purple, super cool. Basically everything changes, and it adds on to the shiny very well. And now we have Orbeetle, which will go into the SS tier. I think it's almost S, but I'll put it in SS tier. The purple is just fantastic. It works very well with the rest of the shiny. I'd be really happy if I did get it. Next, we got Nickit and Thievul. Shiny wise, I'm going to put these guys in S tier. I think the Silver Fox design looks really cool, and the blue also looks really cool. Really good shinies overall. Nothing much else to say, they just look really cool. Next up, we got Gossifleur and Eldegoss. Almost forgot the name again. Gossifleur is gonna go into A tier, I think. Looks pretty cool. I like the silver, the pink. The colors all work nicely. And while objectively I think that is higher, I'm gonna have to put Eldegoss into the C+ tier. Only because I don't like the colors that are used very much. This purple is one of my least favorite colors of all time. I hate that color of purple. I just hate it. The pink and the other colors just don't help it at all either. I like the autumn vibe, which is why it's not in the C tier, but it's not that good in my opinion. So we're gonna have to put it into C+. But it's definitely higher. It's 100% higher. Objectively, just in my opinion, I'm just not very fond of it myself. Okay, next up we got Wooloo and Dubwool. Wooloo, I think, deserves to go into the S tier. I mean, it's a black sheep. They invert the colors. At one point, if I do start hunting Wooloo again, I might invert my switch. That would be pretty funny. But yeah, shiny Wooloo right there, and shiny Dubwool, almost as cool, not quite. However, the black and white still looks really nice. However, I just don't think it works as well, especially with a lot of the gray that's still present on it. But yeah, still a really excellent shiny. Next up, we got Choodle and Dreadnought. I'm gonna put them into SS. They're a low SS, but they're still a really good SS. Also, the orders that I put them in don't matter. It's just gonna be the rank itself. They look really, really good. I like the small Bowser reference that you get with Dreadnought. It works really well for both of them. The greens that they used are amazing. Actually, not very common greens with the shinies, especially this dark green. I think that it looks really excellent. It's not my favorite color in the world, but it looks amazing on Dreadnought. And same with the lighter green on Choodle. Okay, next up we got Yamper, which will go into B tier. Not the best shiny. The pink does look kind of nice, but it's nothing excellent. And we got Boltund, which will go into C tier. It has a very similar purple, which I don't like, and the yellow just gets worse. It doesn't look amazing in my opinion. Would I be happy if I got it? Yes, that's the same with every single one of these. I would be happy if I got it. But it's not the best. Okay, next up we got the Roly-Poly line. I actually have Roly-Poly. In my opinion, it's an S tier, easy S tier. Amazing shiny. I love the design of it overall. It looks so good. I love the eye. It complements it super well. And even though it would have been better if it changed, I still think it looks really well, really nice. I really think it looks really well. That's not proper grammar. I think it looks really nice. And then also we're gonna put Carkol and Colossal into the S tier. Still amazing shinies. However, the eye helps Roly-Poly so much that it's going to go into SS tier. Still both amazing shinies, however. Okay, next up we have the Applin line. Applin itself is honestly another SS. It just looks fantastic. I'll also give that to Flapple. The green apple design just looks really, really nice. I like these colors of green specifically, I think. And however, Appleton is going to go into the barely B+ tier because I like the original colors. But nothing else really changes except that the little apple on its head changes from red to green. Now we have Silicobra and Sandaconda. Silicobra is going to go into B+ tier as well, I think, and Sandaconda will go into A tier. I think that they work pretty nicely. Not the best colors in the world that they could have chosen. However, I think it looks pretty cool. Next up, we got Cramorant. And I think it looks pretty cool. I think the orange is a little bit out there, but it still manages to work very well against the blue, which, I mean, there is no blue, but again, compared to its original coloring. So unfortunately, it's going to mean that we have to start a second row, but we're going to put it into the A tier. Next up, we got Barraskewda and Arrokuda. Both of these, I think, are S tier in my opinion. I love the blue that they have. It just looks really nice, really clean. I believe that's more actually like what they're based on, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna throw it into S tier, I guess. Next up, we got Toxel. Toxel's a pretty cool shiny, but nothing crazy in my opinion. We're gonna throw it into B+, and then both forms of Toxtricity are gonna go into A tier. I personally prefer the Amp form, but I think that they're both the same basically. We're just gonna throw them into A tier. They look pretty nice. I like the purple-pink thing that they have going on. It's actually a nice purple in my opinion. Alright, so now we got Sizzlipede. I feel bad, but I'm just gonna have to throw that honestly into D tier. It's probably gonna be the only D tier too. Like, there's nothing else here that I will get into D tier. So I feel bad, but I feel like something has to go there, if anything. If anything has to go there, I guess it would be that. Maybe one of these would go here too. Actually, maybe I'd probably throw it here because these two Pokemon, if I got them, I would evolve them into their other forms. Typically, I like to keep Pokemon as their base forms, or the form that I got them in. But these I would evolve just because of how bad their shinies are, in my opinion. So we're gonna throw both of those down to D tier. Sorry, Farfetch'd, but your shiny just isn't that great, in my opinion. Next up, it is saved to some extent by Centiskorch. The colors look much better here. Okay, next up we got Grapploct and Clobbopus. We're gonna move Clobbopus to the S tier. Really nice shiny. I like the blue. Actually, let's throw it into SS tier. This looks really nice overall. I like the blue. It works well. And we're gonna throw Grapploct. Because there's no A+ tier, we're gonna throw it into the S tier. Like I said, I don't like these colors very much. However, together they look really nice. So I have to throw into S tier. I just personally am not very fond of all the colors. Next up, we got Sinistea and Poltegeist. Now, Sinistea, well, they're actually the same. They're both gonna go into S tier or A. They're gonna go into A tier. Sorry, Sinistea. They're both gonna go into A tier. The body doesn't change, is why it's not higher. But the teacups look really nice. A really nice color overall with that pink. And also you got the little challenge of finding an authentic one. That's pretty cool. Next up we got Hatenna, Hattrem, and Hatrine. All of these will go into the A tier. I like the grays look nice. I do like the original colors maybe a little bit more, but obviously the shinies boosted up a lot, so we're gonna throw those into A tier. So their counterpart Pokemon is Impidimp, Morgrim, and Grimmsnarl. So Impidimp will be going, I guess we're gonna throw them actually all into A tier all into B+ tier, I think. On to B+ tier, I think. No, I didn't say I was gonna be ranking these by the tour. We're just gonna put it at the top of B+ tier just to make it feel a little bit better, I guess. I don't know. But it is almost at the same level as Hatrine. They all look really nice. I think the turquoise works well. They're a little bit out there for my liking, and I wish that there was more turquoise on this form, and also that you can see some of that purple, which I don't like. But it's still a pretty nice shiny, and there's not much of it, so it's hard. You focus on the turquoise and the white instead of the purple, really. Okay, now we're on to the evolutions of the Generation 8 Pokemon, starting with Obstagoon, which I'm probably going to put in the same tier as Linoone. I think it's a little bit out there, but it still looks pretty cool. I mean, I like the original Pokemon too. So, yeah. And now we have Corsola, or Cursula, my bad. We're we're gonna throw that into the same tier. I think the black kind of looks a little bit weird, how it's just like a black ball in the center of like the white outer shell, but the colors themselves are pretty nice. So we're gonna throw it into C+ tier. Actually, we're gonna put it into B tier. It's a little bit better, but not. It's barely B tier. And next up, we got Surfetched, which will be going into the S tier. I like the golden aesthetic. Oh my gosh, this is getting so big. I like the golden aesthetic that it has. It looks really nice overall. Unfortunately, the other sticks and stuff, the stick and the shield don't change, which is why it's not SS tier, but it still looks really nice how it is. Now we got Mr. Rhyme, which we're going to throw into the S tier. I mean, it's the same thing as Mr. Rhyme, except it's I actually like Mr. Rhyme. I don't like regular Mr. Mime, but I like these two. These two guys are fun. They seem to be fun to like be with. So we're gonna throw it up in the S tier. I think it just looks slightly better, but I think they're both the same basically. Next up, we got Runerigus. I mean, what else can I say? Probably top 10 favorite shinies of all time. It looks amazing. Okay, next up we got Milcery. That's pretty cool. Milcery's pretty cool. I like the black eyes that it has, but besides that, nothing else really changes too much. However, it's still a pretty fun shiny. It also goes white instead of like the off-white and like off-yellow that it has. So it works pretty well, but nothing extremely special, so B+. We also have Alcremie, which we're going to throw into the B tier. I'm not a big fan of its coloring. It's kind of just meh, in my opinion. But it still looks pretty nice. Next up, we got Phalanx, which will go into the immediate SS tier. It just looks amazing, in my opinion. I love the brown coloration of it. It works really well, especially with the yellow. It just looks amazing, and those nice blue eyes. I mean, I love Phalanx. Phalanx is also probably my top 20 favorite Pokemon of all time. So it's also one of my favorite shinies of all time. It's so cool. And same with basically the same thing can be said about Pincurchin. I mean, it's not one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, but it's one of my favorite shinies of all time. I love that deep black that it has, along with the orange. It just works amazingly. And I think it also references other. I mean, I haven't eaten like a sea urchin or really seen one in person, but I believe that's based off of the color that it kind of has. So it's pretty nice. Next up, we got Snom and Frostmoth. I'm going to throw Snom into the B+ tier. It's not the best shiny in the world, to be completely honest. But it's still nice. It's still nice. And Frostmoth will go into the A tier. It's a little bit better, a little more majestic. Yeah, I think both shinies are pretty good. Nothing amazing, but they look nice. They definitely look nice. Okay, next up we got Stormjorner and Ice-Q. I mean, they're counterpart Pokemon somehow, but they have very different shinies. Stormjorner is going to go into S tier. It would be bottom of S tier, but still S tier nonetheless. I like how the colors inverting actually looks really nice. Nothing else much to say. I think it just looks really nice. Next up, we also have Ice-Q, which is actually a shiny I do have, which will go into the A tier. Actually, no, we'll put it into S tier. I like the pink. The pink looks very, very well. And I said the same thing as I did earlier. It looks really, really nice. And the color's very vibrant. However, I like how the pink isn't. It looks like an ice pink, if that makes any sense. It's restricting itself. It's not like a neon pink. It's just like a nice subtle pink, like strawberry ice cream pink, which is actually really nice. I like how that's a nice detail they added, because they could have made it like super bold, and it wouldn't have looked as good. Next up, we have the Indeedee forms. I don't really like these Pokemon that much, but their shinies are alright. We'll put them into the B+ tier. I like the blue. Unfortunately, that's all I can really say about it. I think the blue looks really nice, and the purple also looks really nice together. However, not my favorite shinies of all time, nor my favorite Pokemon. Next up, we got more Pico. Now, this will have to go into C+ tier. Just the white changes, or the yellow changes to white. Even in its hangry mode, it just changes from like a purple to a blue. It doesn't look very good, and nothing really changes that much. So we're gonna have to throw it into the C+ tier. Next up, we have Cufant and Camparaja, which will go into B+ and B tier. Now, I love these Pokemon normally, however, their shinies aren't anything too great. I do think that Cufant is really nice. I like the yellow, but it's not the best shiny in the world. And then Camparaja just kind of has like a weird green color tint to it, which doesn't look the best. I think it could have been a little bit better. And now we have all the fossils, which I think I can just safely put all of them in the A tier, to be honest. Oh gosh, we have 3 rows in the A tier. They all have cool designs. They look nice, but nothing fantastic. But I like the black and white. It all looks very well for all of them. Alright, so we're almost done. We have a couple lines left in the legendaries, starting with Duraludon. I think it's actually an A tier, despite how nothing much changes, because the white looks extremely nice, and the light blue also looks extremely nice. The colors just complement the metallic feeling of it overall. So we're going to give that an A tier. And now the final non-legendary line that we'll be covering in this specific tier list will be the Dreepy line. We're going to give Dreepy and Dracloak a B+ tier, and Dragapult an A tier, just because there's more yellow. I like the yellow, that's really all that changes, unfortunately, but it does look really, really nice. So we're going to give it the A tier. And B+ ranking. Now we are on to the legendaries. We're only gonna do we'll rank the forms, these like the sorted shield forms. We're gonna throw Zacian into A or S tier. We're gonna do S tier, I guess, and then Zamazenta into A tier. Okay, I just like, they look very similar. But I personally like the blue, the cyan a little bit more than the magenta. But that's the magenta, that's really all though. Still really nice shinies nonetheless. And lastly for this tier list is Eternatus, which we're gonna, unfortunately this isn't the best thing in the world, we're gonna put it into B tier. It looks alright, but it's a blue, it's a red instead of blue. It doesn't change much, it isn't the greatest thing in the world. We're actually going to throw it into high C+. Yeah, it looks nice, but nothing great. So yeah, that's going to be it for this tier list. Got a lot of Pokemon that we ranked. Unfortunately, it can't all fit. So here's a nice little scroll. Do, 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 do.